I mix what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like. That we're not the best of friends. We're not in the same cliques.
Right.
We're not, we know each other. We in the same circles. We're, whatever. But, so
Yeah.
it's not like. So I say that to say, like, when I'm saying all of this, I don't want anybody to think, oh, he's just, bigging up his boy. I mean, I consider
Mhm.
you a friend, I consider you a comrade and someone, whatever. But I just want to make that clear. Like,
Absolutely.
I'm profoundly impressed with what you've done here. And again, especially, it would be dope even outside, even if you had a one none and was making 10 times your salary like some and produced this, it would be impressive.
Mhm.
But what I it, and again, I'm not in your pockets, I'm not in your schedule, but what I think I understand of the HBCU experience to have done this is I can't get over how impressed I am by it. So congratulations.
Thank you so much for that, and thanks for acknowledging that. I'm sitting in my
Sure.
office right now, third floor, Founders Library, hoping that nobody knocks on my door trying to get registered or come in, with issues. Because one of the things that we have to, as you know, one of the things that we do is not only do we teach, we
Yeah,
also have to engage students beyond the classroom, and that's constantly happening.
that's right.
Um, if I wasn't doing this, I would be meeting with students, talking through ideas, but also talking through what they're going through at Howard. Right now, Howard is in an interesting place, and particularly for students who want to engage radicalism, it's scary and hard, and they don't know how to think. They don't know what to do with the fact that Howard now is getting $90 million from the Department of Defense, right? It's like, should we do something? What should we do? Like, how this is going to affect my education, right? Because the Howard that they were sold is not necessarily that Howard, right? And so they get here and they
No,
experience levels of conservatism and they experience levels of, the black bourgeois agenda, whatever you want to call it, right? I mean, they call it black excellence now, right?
that's
the
it's nice
DOD,
rebranding of it though. It's nice, right?
the DOD is the logical extension of black excellence. We can now be excellent militarisms. We can have excellent militarism. Anyway,
Yeah, man.
we become in black studies, even at the HBCU, an oasis for these students. And so I wouldn't have it any other way. In fact, I told the event, we had a launch event last Thursday. I said, I love writing. I love doing, that kind of work, right? But that's not why I'm a professor. It's not why I come to the university. In fact, I didn't get any support materially for this book from the university. Any, right? The university for me is you, students, right? And so I not only do I have to teach, it's the only reason I stay is to teach. I could be doing any other thing and making the same amount of money probably, right? But it's the students. It's the
I'm
student.
sorry to laugh at that, but yeah, that's a funny way of putting it. I could be doing this so many things. I could be doing for this same money, man. It's
Yeah. I
crazy.
told my students I would rather be on a farm, like doing food security work, whatever. Like, but the fact that I get to teach y'all is really the real. It's the only way. It's the only reason, in fact, I deal with all the other stuff that I deal with. It's because there's a beauty in being in community with students who are looking for a thing and then realizing why am I not getting that thing until I get into these kind of spaces.
You bring up this distinction, as I'm seeing it, and correct me, between the Black university and the HBCU. So as you I don't know, is there a way, and maybe we could just separate the two and you could just talk about the book and we can come to that question later. But I was just thinking if there's a way to respond to that distinction as a way of explaining what you see your book doing. But either way, however you want to do it,
I think it's that's a lovely way to enter into the conversation because we're being cited at the university, like that says something about the approach to knowledge, right? That the
Mhm.
university is organized around. It's not just that, there's a natural order of knowledge that just was always there, and then the universities, just apply that natural order to reality, right? But it assumes that it does. And every intellectual or academic area assumes that there is a natural order. But Blackness reveals that the natural order is unnatural. And we see that in broad relief when it comes to the distinctions that you just raised, right? When Black students come into Black institutions, they find it wanting because there is no natural order. And my reality, my experience as a Black person reveals that there is no natural order. And so, how do we get our university education to be relevant to the world that we see, to the world that we experience? And at HBCUs, that conversation happens almost immediately. But those people that are carrying that conversation are punished for having that conversation at HBCUs, right? You know, there's a legacy of discipline and punish, if you will, when it comes to us thinking beyond disciplines. The disciplines that we inherited, the disciplines that we reify sometimes, the disciplines that we think that we can't fight. And so the relationship between that and the book is that part of the energy around Black studies is that we need a separate institution or we need a radically changed institution in order for any of this to work. And when Black studies emerges and it has this life that it has over the last almost 60 years, one of the reasons that we often fail at doing what we want to do in Black studies is because Black studies wasn't just supposed to be a department, wasn't just supposed to be a discipline, wasn't just supposed to be this space that kind of accepted the norms of the academy as its own with Blackface, right? And so this book is about getting back to the deeper questions that were raised, not only in that moment, but in other moments that said, we need to rethink knowledge itself. We need to rethink the structure of knowledge. We need to rethink the emergence of these spaces that we think are told are natural. Because when we actually think about our Black lives, it reveals that these spaces come out of particular conditions. And in fact, it reveals that the university as a construct was really created in order to discipline Black life. In fact, discipline all life, but certainly discipline Black life. And so the contradictions that we think that exist between a university like Howard or any HBCU where Black excellence gets framed or prioritized over Black liberation may not be so much a contradiction because these universities aren't really concerned about our liberation. They never were. And maybe Black excellence is the actual mission. And so maybe it's not so much the contradiction that we think it is. Studying Black life in the ways that the peoples that I talk about in the book study Black life help us see in that way, gives us clarity in that way, so that we don't have, we don't have to be disappointed anymore. We can just continue to do our work and figure out, how to destroy it all at some point, how to dismantle it all at some point. But certainly we don't get to be seduced anymore when we think with people like Sylvia Winter or W.E.B. Du Bois about the structure of knowledge, not just whether or not Black life can fit into the pre-existing categories.
Well, everybody, wait a minute.